In 30 seconds, you will be witness to one of the greatest online events in the history of, well, online events. Descript proudly brings to you a topic that you deeply care about and whose name is the title of this online event. I'm Don. I am not your host. I am an overdub stock voice included for free with Descript. So, now, let's meet someone who actually works here.
Hey everybody, and welcome. Today we're talking about using Descript for Teams, and we are super excited to have you here and to be talking about this. I am humbly your host for the day. My name's Jack. I work at Descript as the Strategic Accounts Manager, and that means I get to work with a lot of awesome teams, a lot of our biggest teams, enterprise teams, and get to see a lot of different cool workflows. So that's why I'm really excited to talk to all of you about this today. But I couldn't do it without my co-host today and an expert in Descript, Harmony. Harmony, how are you?
Thanks, Jack. I'm doing good. I'm sorry to let the audience know we are not Kevin and Christiana. I thought that would have been a fun bit to, come on as Christiana, but I am so thrilled to be sharing the stage with you today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. My name's Harmony. I'm a customer success manager and product specialist here at Descript. So what that means on my end is that I'm lucky enough to work with prospective Descript users, and then I work with Kevin and our sales team to ensure that folks are empowered in Descript. They have some best practices in their back pocket, and they know how to work as a team, most importantly.
Yeah, and there's some cool things that you can do in Descript that really help you work more quickly, more collaboratively. And I think we've seen a lot of teams when they change over to using Descript supercharge their workflows, which I think is super awesome and makes me excited to talk about this today. So we got a lot of people raring to go. But before we get going, I want to ask, how big is the team that you're working with? So we'd love to know just how big are the team sizes that we're hearing today, and how are you using it? There's a lot of different cool workflows that we've seen. Obviously, very popular with podcasts. I like to tell people that if you listen to a podcast, it's probably made with Descript. That's my not so subtle way of talking about it, bragging about it. But Harmony, maybe we can spend a few minutes. We're talking about this, some different teams and different team sizes. What are some kind of common workflows that we see when we talk to teams who are using Descript?
Yeah, 100%. I think the really cool thing is, even if you're not a podcast team, Descript can help organizations reduce their tool stack and streamline their process, regardless of what vertical or type of organization you're in. So we're lucky enough to work with amazing organizations like Pushkin, Vice, Washington Post, and thinking about some particular use cases. You've got as thinking about my background, training and learning teams, right? So if you work for a corporation that requires internal training, Descript is an awesome tool that allows you to streamline training content library, both from the creation process and also for archival as well. So let's say you have an entire back catalog of compliance courses that you need to transcribe. Easy enough, bring them into Descript. We can work together to get captions ready to go and then bring into our LMS. I'm also thinking of user research teams. So you have a ton of interview material, bring that into Descript. It allows you to view conversations and pick up on common themes using our search tool. And then also marketing teams too. It allows you to create great little social shareable snippets, videos that will make creating a soundbite from an interview just really easy and streamlined. What am I missing of other use cases?
Yeah, I think there's some cool ones that I've seen with like review and approval for maybe you're working with a team, an outside team. I'm thinking about your marketing example. Maybe you've got some outside collaborators or another group that you're working with. Publish pages are amazing for that. Being able to bring someone into your workflow and have them work in Descript totally free, be able to send you some comments back and forth, instead of trying to lay everything over into a Google Doc or something like that. Just invite them right in, go ahead and get right to work in Descript. So I think there's a lot of cool stuff that I've seen people do there, especially also when it comes to searching through material. Just starting with the transcript allows you to work so much more quickly because you can find that perfect soundbite that you're looking for right away. So, yeah.
Loving seeing some of these responses here. So we have 30 plus folks responding, saying they're on a team of 2 to 5, 11 folks responded 5 to 9, and 7 that are on those 10 plus teams. So that's very cool to see.
Yeah, awesome.
Very cool.
And if you're interested in how we can help your team or kind of some background materials, you can go to descript.com, check it out. We've got a how teams are using it on a use cases page. For big teams, we've also got an enterprise option. If you go to descript.com/enterprise, you can check all that out. And also check out our Discord, because we just started a new channel to talk about the ways teams are using it, how to best organize your workflows, because there's a bunch of really interesting ways that, sometimes we'll chat with somebody and didn't even realize that was possible with Descript. So jump in there.
Yeah, 100%. And just to jump in on the Discord channel, it's so cool and rewarding to see how users are helping each other self-educate. So even if, obviously Discord is great for connecting with others, but also from a product education standpoint, it's a great place to go learn about other workflows and how other teams work together in Descript. All
right, Harmony, are we ready to share the app?
Let's share the app.
Talking about how to set up.
Let's actually dig in, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and let's do this. Seeing that okay, Jack?
Yep, I can see it. Crystal clear.
Amazing. So I think starting here is a good place, because you want to make sure that you've got your drive set up for success, before you even start adding other team members into Descript. So for those folks that are brand new or just getting acquainted with Descript, as a reminder, Descript is a collaborative audio and video editor that works like a doc. And you'll hear Jack and I use the Google Drive, Google Doc analogy quite a bit. So if you've opened up Descript for the first time with your team, let's say you've just subscribed, you've set up your drive, this is where you're going to land. This is the drive view, and this is your overarching look into all of the projects that you're creating and sharing with your team members. So just a little basic like pre-flight checklist here, just so that everyone's oriented. Over here on the right, this is your drive workspace, where you're going to see any and all projects that you've created. You can also create folders here, which we'll talk about momentarily. And then over here on the left, this is you're going to have your left sidebar. And here you'll have some filtered views. So home is going to be, it's going to collate all projects that you have access to, even if you have access to multiple drives, which is certainly possible. projects that are created by you, shared with you, and things that you've downloaded. We'll also talk a little bit about Overdub a little bit later on, which is our synthetic voice tool, and really comes in handy, especially in that pre-production phase, but also post-production as well. There's also, I'm gonna actually zoom in a little bit just so we can see this a little bit better. Hopefully that looks a little bit better here. So as I mentioned, the concept of drives. So I'm the drive owner of Descript for Teams, but I also have access to a lot of other drives. And this allows me to keep projects and things that I have going on separate from in different drives. So just like the Google Drive analogy. And so as the drive owner, as I'm ramping up production for my team, now I'm ready to start adding members. And I think this is a good moment to just talk about the different membership types in Descript. So there's two membership types. One is an editor. And an editor basically has full reign over Descript. They can create projects, folders, they can transcribe, they can edit, it can publish, export, all of the Descript things. And then you've got basic members. And actually, before I talk about basic, so editors, if you're just getting started, editors are paid seats. And then basic members are free seats. So you can invite as many basic members as you'd like. But the catch with basic members is that they're kind of like a read-only role, right? So they can view and listen and comment, but not edit. So that's the main distinction between those two types. So so for example, if I were getting Jack and I up and running on my drive, I would say, I would add him as a co-editor. And then maybe I'd invite some folks from marketing as basic members, just so that they have a view into the types of projects that we're creating. They can comment and share as needed. Jack, and what else would you say?
Harmony, people can switch back and forth between these membership types, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. So the nice thing is that for me, as the drive owner, I can go in, view all members, and let's say, Zach, he's like taken a project as far as it needs to go, and now I can change his membership type and bring him down to a basic seat. Yeah.
Yeah, we found that that's super helpful sometimes with bringing maybe a team member on. They think they just need to see, but turns out that they need to edit. You can upgrade them too. So it works both ways. And I think that's a great tip for teams that are collaborating but aren't sure how much they're going to use Descript yet. Or you're going to have a couple of people in the app every day, but there's another team of 10 that maybe you want to bring in and see how they might like it. That's what basic seats are great for.
Yeah, 100%. Let's see here. So the other thing I want to talk a little bit about is folders. So I didn't set up any folders prior to inviting my other team members, but I would definitely recommend doing that before, creating too many projects, bringing in, media into the system. That way you have a really solid structure built in. That way people know where to go and how to access certain projects. So for example, here, this drive, it's made up of folks from our sales team. We have folks from support, marketing. So I might create a folder for support materials. I might also want to create another one for marketing as well. The thing that I love about this role is that we get to talk with customers all the time, and maybe we have case studies that we store here, and then we can later share out with marketing so that they can get a view into the great conversations that we get to have. So create another one for marketing. And the cool thing too is that you can also create subfolders within these top level folders. And then one thing that I do all of the time is I pin specific folders to my sidebar for things that I frequently access. And the thing to note here is that these pins, these are on an individual user basis. So for Jack, he's not going to see this pin to his sidebar. He might pin other relevant folders that he's going to be accessing on a daily or weekly basis. The other thing too is, we'll get into talking about this on a per project basis, is that a lot of teams that we work with, they work with a wide range of contractors. And so it might not make sense to add those folks to the drive but more so on a per project basis. So I'm actually going to jump into this specific project here that we've got set up. And so if I've got someone outside of my organization that I'd like to have them jump in and give some feedback, make some edits, I can come up here to this share button here, and I can invite them just to this project. I can also switch to inviting them to the drive, but for now, I would just want to add them to this project and then be able to have edit or comment only access. So this is a really great way of handling, the aspect of working with contractors, adding them on the project level versus the drive level.
Yeah, or working with another team in another organization, right? So if there's if you're collaborating with people outside your organization on a specific Descript project, and they're also Descript users as well, you don't have to bring them into your total workspace, just into a project that you're working on together. Just like in an Asana project or other kind of workflow management tool, Descript has some of those same permissions. So we've seen that be really helpful for teams in the past too.
Exactly. And so at this point, now that I've brought in some source material into my project, and just again, for the folks that are still getting used to Descript and our terminology, what you're looking at here is a project. In thinking about the hierarchy, think about your drive as your library, your project as your book, and then we have what's called these compositions. Think of these as your chapters. So when you create a new composition, kind of looks like a blank Google Doc. And then you can pull in your source material, it'll transcribe. And then once it's fully transcribed, now Jack and I are ready to go in, start maybe as a first step, making some corrections to the transcript, and along the way, use some of the other tools that we would, take our transcript from maybe like 90, 95% accuracy, closer to that 100% mark. So the first thing I might do, and Jack, please jump in, but usually I like to go in and start correcting names if I need to. So Petra, I think this is a misspelling here, so I can just highlight it. I'm going to use the E key and correct. There we go. So just start to clean up. Jack, what might you do while I'm maybe making some of these corrections?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of great things that are worth knowing here. Is that not only can you correct a transcript really easily just using some keyboard shortcuts, but also a lot of people will pass. They'll have one person go at a first pass of transcript cleanup. But I think one thing, as we get you set up to bring things in to transcribe, and Descript transcribes in 23 languages. So if you've been a longtime user, that's an awesome new feature addition for us. But one thing that I think is really useful for teams is that you're usually creating things with a lot of specific words and phrases, proper names, your company name, your company's products. And I think that's where the transcription glossary can really come in hand in making your transcriptions really accurate. So you just go up to that D and press where the transcription glossary is, and you can add any of your industry or company or project specific terms. And this will make every piece of media that you bring in that much more accurate. So we've seen some huge gains in people. Now I don't have to correct as many words. I can just go ahead and add some of these specific words and phrases into the transcription glossary and make that even more accurate. And Harmony, maybe we can also talk about our transcription wizard a little bit, just to make cleanup even that much more quick.
100%. Yeah, and actually one more other thing to mention about the transcription glossary. The glossary is shared across the entire drive, so you don't have to recreate the glossary on a per project basis. It's shared across the entire drive. Everyone on your drive will be able to access and add additional acronyms, terms to this glossary, which is nice. All right, I'm gonna X out of that, and maybe let's talk a little bit about the transcription wizard. So you can access this in a couple of different ways, but the easiest would just be going to this wrench here and detect transcription errors. So what this does is it's basically a second pass on the transcription. So when you initially run transcription, if you have optimal audio, you can get up to 95% accuracy. But as your audio quality starts to degrade, so will the accuracy of your transcript. So I usually like to run this basically right after I bring in my content. I'll make a couple quick updates, and then I'll run the wizard. That way it'll give me an opportunity to audition specific moments where it's like, I think we need a double check here. So this can be really useful for the purpose of just doing that quick check.
Yeah, this is a super powerful tool just to run another transcription on your work, have it give you the ability to, you can almost correct like a 20-minute or 30-minute recording in 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, it's that fast when you get good with it. And it's not that hard to get good with it. So they made it simple enough that a dummy like me can use it. So I think it's one of those things that when we show people, it can help them really get working really quickly, which is awesome. As opposed to, I know a lot of transcripts, especially AI transcripts, can slow you down because they cannot be accurate. So we strive not to do that here at Descript. So.
No, same. I mean, like both of our backgrounds, like we don't come from a podcasting background. Jack comes from a background in television. I come from e-learning, and it makes it so easy in that like you can focus on the story that you're telling, the narrative, and less so on the technology, right? So now at this point, I could continue working, and let's say I might go in and start removing ums and uhs while Jack.
Let's show where that button lives one more time, just so everybody can see it one more time.
Certainly. So to get to the transcription wizard.
Yes.
Yeah. So you just click here on this little wrench icon, and then this is the detect transcription error. So we call it our transcription wizard. So you can get there. And so yeah, now what I could do is all you have to do is click on the first word that's underlined in green. And then right click and start correction wizard.
Chatting with my good friend and musician.
So she said friend instead of friends. So just fix that. We'll accept that. And then
Petra Gerard.
And then it'll just move to the next moment underlined in green. And you can always just X out of this when you're like, let's say you need to step away for a little bit. I'll X out. And then you can always resume by right clicking and start the correction wizard. So Jack could continue going through doing the correction wizard while I go and like create another composition, start bringing in some other media. So it's easy enough to work collaboratively in that sense.
And you can even see that I'm in this project. You can see my little icon up in the top right corner. Again, just like a Google Doc, you're used to seeing the anonymous eagle or whatever in your Google Docs. But yeah, you can see who's collaborating with you when. So that can be a really helpful tool, just as who's looking at what I'm working on. So
exactly. Awesome. So
should we talk about pre-production now?
Pre-production, yeah, let's do it. So there's a lot that goes into pre-production, in terms of review and approval, commenting, adding, notes, scripting, outlining. So let's go ahead and just start with some of the basics. So in this case, Jack and I are in the same project. I know there's a specific moment where I'm like unsure if we want to keep it or not. So I can highlight, let's say, just this section here. And if I wanted to bring Jack's attention just to this particular moment, I can highlight it and then click on this plus button here. That's going to allow me to add a comment. And so I'm going to @mention him. And I would say, should we cut? And so now Jack's going to get notified by email. And we also have a Slack integration as well. But he's been mentioned in this project. He can pop in if he's not in here already, which he is. And he'll be able to reply just like you would in Google Docs. So this allows you to be able to work on the editing process and then, be able to decide, make those editorial decisions. What are we going to keep? What are we going to cut? Or maybe, this section as well, this could be, I might note that for social snippet. And then that way Jack will be able to come in and start commenting back at me. The other thing too is as I go through and do my initial rough edit, using the ignore feature is really nice because Jack will be able to see the decisions that I'm making as we go through and assemble our first cut. So maybe I want to get rid of this section here. I can just strike that and then maybe go through and strike that as well. So let's see here. I can also add inline notes. This is a nice way of either leaving like internal notes for other folks that are making edits, or like a reminder for myself to come back and add some music or an image that we want to throw on screen here. So you just do open parentheses.
And for the first time in a really long.
Whoops, I'm here, open parentheses, add music here, and get rid of that. What else, Jack? What am I missing here?
I was going to say, like, maybe you can, if you go back over to the comment, you can see I replied, and you can see you can have a whole threaded conversation in these quotes, again, just like a Google Doc. So I think that is really useful for collaborating quickly back and forth. You don't have to wait for rounds and rounds of approval. Even on the audio, you can just jump right to it and see what's going on there. But I think between commenting and the inline notes and markers, which we'll get to in a minute, and the markers also carry over into other types of creative software. If you're working in Pro Tools or Audition or some of these other ones, so yeah, Harmony just made a marker right there. There's a lot of different ways to kind of organize and work as a team and kind of have a conversation back and forth and make your audio or video a living document. So I think there's just a bunch of great ways to start working in a team and just get right to the heart of what you want to work on.
100%. Yeah, and the nice thing with the commenting too is that at this point, I think we've had the necessary back and forth that needed to occur, and so now I can go ahead and archive that conversation. I can also, Jack replied here, so we're going to leave that. Okay, so I can archive that, and then I can always go back and access those comments via this sidebar here. So if we do show comments and we want to see archive stuff, you can toggle that on and off. And then you can also sort by timestamp, newest and oldest. So just wanted to point that out so you can always reference back.
Yeah, pretty awesome how you can, the conversation's never lost. So you can think about the editorial decisions that you made along the way too. And I think that, maybe you forgot why you made an edit or not. You can always go back and see why. So
yeah, and to the marker point, since Jack mentioned that markers are a great way of keeping your content organized. And so if I wanted to drop in a couple markers that I know I want to come back to, or have a couple folks peek at, before we publish it, the markers, you can jump from them here, from one marker to another, and it'll just move you through the script.
Harmony, I think we should spend some time talking about markers for teams that are also using other types of creative software. So, I think one thing that teams love to use, especially, again, we work with a lot of audio teams, so I'm going to use that example again. Maybe your podcast producers go through and they drop some markers, and then your editors, your sound editors come in and they can export this timeline right out and then use those markers right there, as Harmony's showing you right away. Harmony, you want to talk about this a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're doing your rough assembly in Descript, you can go through, add those markers. Maybe your producers go through, they add them as needed, and then once you're ready to hand it off to like a sound designer, they're going to bring it into Pro Tools. All you'll need to do is go up to the share button here and click on the export tab. Now, you'll see there's a lot of different ways you can get your material out of Descript, and we could probably do a whole session just talking about ways to export. And share your material. But to Jack's point, we play really well with other solutions out there. So if you need to bring in your cut into Pro Tools, for example, or Premiere, I'll pick on Pro Tools here. I can bring in an AAF file. Those markers will also come over into Pro Tools as well. And one thing we haven't talked about is just the fact that Descript it's a non-destructive editor. So all of even though your edit's going to be coming over into Pro Tools, you'll still have your original files that you'll be able to pull back, make edits as needed, but they'll all of those original files will come over into your session in Pro Tools. What did I miss, Jack? Anything else there?
No, I think that's a great point, is that people a lot of times they'll ask us to say, am I going to lose audio quality? Am I going to lose video quality? What about markers? What about comments? Comments won't carry over, but that's what markers are for. And that's what I think what people are so used to working with. And I think why we can be such a powerful addition to teams' workflows is that you can collaborate from the jump right away. You have your transcripts right away. And then you can speak in the languages that you're used to speaking in the software you're used to working in. So just a lot of great ways to, work in audio, work in video, and also do some other cool things that you can't do in other types of software, like Overdub, which I think maybe we should talk about with how teams can collaborate with Overdub a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So the cool thing too, just prefacing, before we go into Overdub, is that thinking about the pre-production phase, you can use Descript even for scripting. So, I might go in here and start typing away introduction for, I can type, there we go. We're gonna do introduction for Petra and Marilyn. And this just allows you to kind of use Descript just like you would with Google Docs. And so thinking about how you might use Overdub. So let's say Jack is our host, which he is indeed. I might want to hear him provide that introduction to Marilyn and Petra in his voice. So what you can do is, once you've created an Overdub voice, and let me actually back out of this project so you can see what I'm referring to here. In the Overdub tab, this is where you create your Overdub voice. You submit training and voice ID. And once the voice gets created, you can then share it with your teammates. But you do have to share it. You have to go in and manage those permissions. So if I wanted to give Jack access to my voice, I can go into my Overdub and then select share voice. And so I've actually already added him, so he can go in and create like a training video in my voice, or whatever it is that the project he's working on. So that would be the first step to sharing your voice. And note that it has to be a member that's already on your drive. So just wanted to point that out.
Just so nobody's out there sharing, your voice with somebody or some person you don't want it to, be in the wrong hands or in the wrong voice, so to speak. So
exactly. So now that he shared his voice with me, I'm going to say, today I'd like to welcome Marilyn and Petra to today's show. Oops. There we go. And so now in this speaker label here, I'm going to designate that I want to hear this in Jack's voice. Could also select my voice or any of our stock voices. And I select Jack. And so now I'm just going to give it a second to generate that overdub. So when you use Descript for overdub, it's just going to take a moment to generate that overdub. You'll notice that it turns from a pale blue to a darker blue. And usually there's like a little toast down here in the bottom, but there we go. And so now Jack's voice is really good. I'm not going to lie. It sounds really good. Let's take a listen.
Today, I'd like to welcome Marilyn and Petra to today's show.
So sounds pretty good, right? And so this is a great way to, think about the pacing or what, portion of the show is going to sound like in a host's voice or in a narrator's voice. And I love seeing teams use it for that purpose.
We see this in a couple of ways. One, like, let's say you're doing a podcast, you can hear what your host, would they say that? Does it sound like something they would say? And you can just write it and script for them. Or, maybe they made a mistake. They said Thursday and they meant Friday. You can just change that one word for them. Or, you don't even have to have somebody record a voice at all. You can use Overdub. And we do this for some of our internal videos, Harmony.
Yeah.
We just use Overdub to script out the entire thing. We'll lay some slides or some images or some videos over it. But now you don't have to have somebody in the recording studio, or somebody can be working in 5 different places at once. Their voice can be a lot more powerful and a lot more useful. And I think that's one really cool workflow that we've seen for teams that you work with closely, Harmony, like learning and development teams.
Absolutely. And the other thing too, just to be mindful of like timing, let's say, you're building an online course and it needs to be exactly like 2 minutes. Then you can, here I might see that I'm already 3 seconds in. So it'll help you make those decisions as far as like what you want to keep and what you want to, what you don't. And I love this. We're seeing a request for Jack's voice as a stock voice. Jack, what's it going to take?
For the right price, No, go to our Canny feature request page and just upvote that way up to the top. If it gets higher than dark mode, then we'll do it.
And the way that you can do that, this is a good reason to point this out. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's this nondescript question mark. Click on that. This will allow you to see or access our tutorial videos or help center, but you'll want to go to feature request to check that out. So love that. Awesome. So I know we're coming up towards the second half of the hour. So Jack, maybe let's talk a little bit about production.
Yeah, so we spent some time on how to work together and kind of get everything into a place where you're ready to start diving in. But now it's actually time to, turn this video podcast into something that you really want pared down. You want to publish it on LinkedIn. You want to send it to your supported podcast hosting partner. There's a million places that you can go with it. So let's talk a little bit about maybe just even the basics of like, let's edit some things with, edit some video like it's a text document.
100%. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of go about this, but so let's say I'm looking for quotes that I want to be able to turn into shareable social snippets. So oftentimes what we'll do is use the highlighting feature. So let's say I this paragraph here. I definitely want to figure out how to repurpose this at a later time. So I highlight that, and then I'll color code that purple. And so in this case, maybe like the stuff that I want to pull is color coded in purple and Jack's green, or, you can use color coding to your advantage here, or, specific colors for specific kind of tape that you're working with. So lots of different options there. I might also go through and I'm going to grab this as well, highlight that. And so now what I can do, I can click here on this composition, and I'm going to say copy highlights, and I'm going to grab all highlights. Now it looks like Jack has actually selected something in the mint color, which is perfect. So I'm going to grab all highlights, but I could choose to grab just stuff that Jack has color coded or stuff that I've color coded. I'm going to say all highlights. And now I'm going to go to my blank composition that I've set up here. I'm going to title this social snippets, and I'm going to paste that right on in. And so now, whoops, didn't want to do that. Let me grab those again. So copy highlights, all highlights. All right, that's okay.
Looks like there's an error.
That's okay. So good teaching moment. So there's a couple ways to do this. Instead, I'm going to use clip to composition. So I'm going to use this little pen here. I'm going to say clip to, you could either do new composition, so that would auto-generate a new composition just at that selection. But I actually want to we'll go to the social snippets comp. I'm going to clip. And now, magically, it appears here. Awesome. So at this point, I might slap on, I'm going to highlight, and I'm going to use our conductor here to add some captions. I might also add my progress bar. and some other things that you're going to start, making this more of a social video that I can put out on our channels.
Harmony, how did you get to the conductor? How did you start adding some of these cool video features?
Yeah, great question. So you can get there a couple different ways. I'm on a Mac machine, so that's going to be Command K. If you're on Windows, it's going to be Control K. You can also get to the conductor by clicking on this plus button here. So it's always a couple different ways of doing the same thing in Descript, but we like using our keyboard shortcuts.
And I know earlier we even spent some time on that wrench icon or detect transcription errors. You can access all kinds of features through the conductor. So it's a great way to just like work even that much faster. You don't have to learn any keyboard shortcut other than that, and you can find everything you want right there. Just hit Command K or Control K and then type in what you're looking for, and it'll pop right to the top.
Exactly. So let's say you also want to add like a waveform, just start typing the word in, the word in that you're looking for, and then you're on your way to moving, getting all of those elements added. Cool. So we talked a little bit about highlighting when it's working, of course, clipping to a composition. The other cool thing is that you can also record scratch audio directly into Descript. One thing we haven't talked about too much is there is also a built-in screen recorder that you can use to record video, whether it's your screen or just straight to camera, to your webcam. Or I might also just want to do some general audio. So you can come up here to the top, click on that little record audio option. See, the levels are coming in hot here, so I might want to see which microphone I'm using, and then I can change that. I have this option to transcribe. I'm not going to record anything now, but just wanted to show you that this is an option. And then it'll transcribe almost nearly in real time. So as soon as you record it, it will transcribe into your composition that you're working from. All right. Let's see. Anything else? I'm trying to think. You can also, I want to talk a little bit about search, but anything else, Jack, that you want to mention here?
I think we talked about, so now you can see how you can clip this off. You can use the search to find what you're looking for. You can use the highlighting to find what you're looking for. Maybe let's talk a little bit about search and how teams would want to use search to, so I've got this kind of this document that I'm working on. Why would people start searching for different things? What would they start doing with the different compositions? I think the great thing about this is that there's a lot of different ways that you can start to use Descript once you've started doing your production process. Maybe we can talk about how different people might want to use search.
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to mind, we spoke a little bit about like user research teams in Descript. So the search is probably, I would say, one of the most powerful things for those types of teams, especially if you're trying to zone in on particular themes or keywords that are brought up. So you would just come over here to the search icon, and this allows you to search either within a project that you're in. So that's nice if it's a longer interview, 2-hour interview. But let's say you want to search across the entire project. So we want to search across different files that you've uploaded. And maybe I'll just search for the word technology. This will actually, let's do tech so we can see this pop up in a few others. So now it's indicating the word tech pops up in the Marilyn and Petra project. It also shows up in this AI in action composition. And now I can actually go through and audition each of these moments. So let's take a quick listen.
Music and her artistry into the space of TikTok.
All
Feels
right.
unfamiliar.
And let's check this
Your
out.
journey in tech, where you got started, some of the
So notice it snapped to a totally different composition. And then you can go in and do a number of things, either listen back if it's just as simple as that, or you can do like a bulk correct text option here. You can copy that media or remove it. So lots of flexibility with the search here. Or if it's just simply like, where was the moment where Jay talked about the beginning of his career? I can search for that.
That was my spark.
Okay, so now I know I immediately want to grab that selection here. I'm going to clip that to a composition. And actually, I'm going to do a new one. And so now if I see, yep, I'll see that here, clips from AI in action. And so now I can take this, I can turn this into an audiogram or, a shorter video module and, put that into our delivery platform. Let's see here. And I see a question there was about how to add video to a Descript project. So happy to cover that momentarily. But Jack, anything else you'd want to say about the search?
Yeah, I think the great thing is if you start loading these into a project, you can start to then really easily see what other people are working on, what those other highlight moments are, and find those really specific words and phrases that you're looking for. There's no more scrolling back and forth through a timeline thinking, where did somebody say that? Or I know that is somewhere around here. You can just jump right into search, clip that off, and start working right away. And I think that's really great for teams that, maybe Descript is mostly used by audio producers, but maybe you have a social media coordinator or somebody who can hop right into Descript, find the clip they're looking for, pull that down, and go ahead and start working right in the same project, but leave everything right there. So I think there's some awesome use cases for teams like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we use it internally all the time, right? For specific recordings that we've done, trainings. So the search is your friend in all cases. But yeah, happy to show how you can bring in source material into Descript. So I'll go ahead and create a new composition. And what you'll do is you'll need to have, the files that you want to bring in either on your desktop or somewhere on your computer, and you'll just simply drag those in. So I'm going to pull that file in. That'll kick off the transcription process. And so as Jack mentioned, we now support 20 plus languages. And so you'll get that prompt there. And you can check this off so that you're always prompted for the transcription language. And we'll go ahead and transcribe. And the nice thing is that this is a fairly short file, so it's going to transcribe really quick. For about every hour or so of content that you bring into Descript, it'll transcribe in 3 to 4 minutes or so. I'm getting prompted with the option to add a speaker label. So this is Marilyn, and we'll say done. And then you'll notice that it's transcribing. It's about 90% there. And now I have this script that I can start working from. I can start making edits. Maybe I had a little bit of a false start there. So I'll scratch that off and we can take a listen.
So we are recording.
All right. So, and easy as that. And then you can do all of the same, sort of collaboration things that we were showing you earlier, from commenting, making selects, adding markers, all that good stuff. Hopefully that helped in terms of what it looks like to import material.
Yeah, I think that's awesome that there are some totally new users to Descript and getting started and getting set up. I think the way you set up projects is really important as a team too. We talk to, like I said, a lot of audio teams or people that are making like one learning module or doing one research session, and kind of being able to put things in different compositions in one project and bring in those individual pieces of video like that. You can also use folders to organize as a team in here. You can add folders like Harmony's doing right now. So your projects can become kind of super powered and really useful structures to help organize material for the future as well. I would be cautious. Don't overload your projects. Don't don't put all of Ken Burns' The Civil War documentary into one project. That's maybe a little bit too much. Shout out to my Ken Burns fans out there. But I think there's a lot of things that you can do with search, with working as a team, tag people back and forth, and just make your projects kind of supercharged, super powered, and great repositories for a lot of information.
Absolutely. Yeah, the folders are super helpful on the project level, to Jack's point. So if I'm building an online course, maybe I have a folder for each module. Within a folder, various compositions, or if it's, we're working on a project for marketing, create a folder for social snippets for Christiana, another one for Marilyn for working with some of our influencers. So it's really limitless in terms of what you can do and how you can optimize it for your team.
It also allows you to do things like create multiple edits in the same project. So, we could do different episodes or different things. You could name a title Jack's edit, and you could name a title Harmony's edit, and see what we thought and what looked different, or people could do totally different things with the same content. So there's some awesome ways to duplicate a composition and just, keep working really quickly as a team.
Exactly. So Jack, we're coming up in the last 5 minutes or so. Should we
Let's
talk
about
a little
publishing.
bit about? Yeah, let's do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's say we've got our video. It's perfect. Maybe it's. I'm gonna grab that social snippet that we created here, and maybe I want this for. Let's get this ready for TikTok, or we'll make it a square for Instagram. Cool. When you're ready to share it, you're going to come up here to the top right-hand corner, click on share, and go to export. So now, as we mentioned, there's a lot of different ways to get your material out, whether it's exporting to a timeline, exporting a file. You can create a transcript, you can create subtitles, SRT or VTT files. You can create export. Let's say you just want an audio-only version of this, create an audio export. You can create your video or your GIF. And then cloud exports, this is where I think it really comes in handy for teams, especially, for the review and approvals process. So one option is actually this page. So what this does is it creates a URL. And then what I can do with that URL, I can send it, let's say to Jack, and I'm going to allow comments. I'm going to show the transcript. That way they can follow along with the media. And I'm actually I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see this in browser, what it looks like. So bear with me here. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to go to, let's open this up here. There is Marilyn and Petra. Cool. And share this screen. All right. So now this allows me to go through, take a listen. Might not be hearing that, but the nice thing is that I can just open this up in browser. It's very frictionless, especially if you have stakeholders that you just need to shoot this off to. They need to do a quick review. This allows them to open that up in their browser, follow along in the video. If they need to, they can also add comments. So let's say they're like, okay, let's save a little bit of time here. I'm gonna highlight that selection, add a comment, can mention to Christiana, let's cut this. And then Christiana will get notified just the way they would in the app if I had created a comment there. So pages are a really nice way to streamline this review and approvals process and get teams looking at the content before you're ready to share. Jack, what else did I not mention about pages?
Yeah, no, I think one thing that's great. We have a lot of teams that, maybe you don't want to invite somebody into your workspace. Maybe you don't need them in your timeline. You don't need them accidentally making edits. It's okay if they do. Everything in Descript is backed up securely in the cloud. You can always wind it back. There's no problem if that does happen. But I understand the hesitancy. I don't want people messing around in my folders or anything like that. Published compositions are great for both internal and external collaboration. So if you need to share this with a marketing firm or with somebody else, maybe you've clipped off a bunch of quotes from users that are using a product and you want to share that back with the people that you did research for. That's really useful. I would also say, Harmony, one really common workflow we see for teams, especially publishing internal content, is taking this page and embedding it, because you can embed it in whatever tool or page or Notion or Coda or Google Docs or wherever you want. You can, as you can see, grab that embed code and stick it right in wherever you want it to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love this too for especially for, once again, my training and learning teams, grab that embed code, iframe that into your LMS or your intranet, really, really simplified and streamlined. That way you don't have to worry about hosting it, elsewhere. You can just plug and play directly with your system of choice. Let's see here. The other thing I wanted to mention too is that there's a lot of other different ways to publish. You can publish directly to YouTube, and we have a wide variety of other publishing partners, whether it's audio or video. So definitely check those out. I would say, throw in any last minute questions if you have them. And for folks that joined a little bit later on, please join our Discord community. It's a great way to stay connected with members of the Descript family. Ask questions, reach out to our support team. We've got an amazing support technical team, and they are ready and willing to answer any and all questions.
Yeah, and write to us too if you want to. If you want another demo, chat with us. We want to get your team set up. We're always happy to help. Harmony and Jack at Descript.com. Pretty simple stuff. Just like our names on there we go.
There we go.
There.
Yeah.
And you can also check out, I think, a useful a place to understand the resources and how teams can use them. Again, Descript.com. We have a use case page just for teams and how they use it. Even got some cool case studies from some of the organizations that use us. Or our enterprise page. If you want to get your entire organization set up and collaborating on Descript, we've worked with some teams to help supercharge their workflows, and from media to, like I said, training and learning, user research, marketing, social media. There's a bunch of awesome ways to do this. And we're always happy to help get you set up. So descript.com/enterprise. You can write into us there. Harmony, we've now hit the top of the hour. Anything else that we should chat about, or any other questions that you're seeing that we need to address?
I think we're all set. I think the main thing is just, I want to ensure everyone knows how to get help. So you can, like I said, down in the bottom right-hand corner of Descript, click on that question mark, chat with us, check out our feature request board, go to our help center. Our amazing team on the back end, Laura, she's created what we call Descript tips. Those are on our YouTube channel. And so if you're just getting started, they're so fun. They're super easy to digest. So if you just want to learn specifically about creating social snippets, there's a video just for that. So check out Descript tips on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, and I'm seeing some other questions about how to chat with us, how to have sessions like this. We love to host webinars. We will be at conferences. If maybe there's a conference in your space that we should think about attending, please write to us. Let us know, either through the enterprise page or again our emails. Jack at Descript.com, Harmony at Descript.com. We love to connect with especially with teams, because there's so many cool ways to use Descript, and we'd love to show you that. So, all right, Harmony, I think it's time for our lunch break. And thanks so much for everybody for spending time with us. We love doing sessions like this.
All right, thanks for joining. Bye.
Have a good rest of your day.
See ya.